All right, I want to show you a clip and talk about a story that's going really viral on the internet right now. Somebody went on Fox News and got them so good, made Sean Hannity essentially panic on live TV. And it's around the Epstein files. And this is something we've seen for the last, 24, 48 hours, the White House scrambling, having meetings in the Situation Room reportedly to try to get their hands around this Epstein story. So I want to hop in to all of this. Before I show you this clip, let me back up a little bit. So this is Stephanie Miller, and just in the last week, she met with Representative Jasmine Crockett, and she posted this on Twitter. Why, yes, I did kiss the sneakers of Jasmine for US, or Jasmine Crockett, that's her Twitter handle, and I do worship the ground she walks on, and she was very lovely about it. And she posted these photos. This is literally her on her knees kissing like the feet of Jasmine Crockett, and then, standing up and hugging her, and Jasmine Crockett laughing. It was a big joke. It was a giant joke. And what I think is so brilliant about this, what I'm realizing, and what you're going to realize in a second when you watch this Fox News clip, again, just similar to what Gavin Newsom does, making MAGA walk right into the trap. Look at all of these responses if we scroll down here. Imagine embarrassing and degrading yourself in hopes of impressing friends in your gossip circles. Embarrassing and degrading yourself. Okay. Girl, what the hell? Bring back asylums. You made yourself look terrible. You made her look bad. You make your ideology look awful. You feed your detractors. Good job. And a lot of response being like, this is crazy. You worship this person. MAGA talking about worshiping a person in an embarrassing way. Really? Look at this clip for me really quick.
We love you, Jesus, and we also love our country. And we thank you that you have raised up a man, Donald J. Trump, to be a warrior for the Word of God and the wisdom that comes from God. Thank you for protecting him.
I mean, this is one of multiple times that you have had Donald Trump surrounded by people all reaching in with their hands on his shoulder, praying for him. He posts photos like this, obviously, on True Social. They call him the second coming of Christ, of God. So again, Stephanie did a great job here exposing that, essentially making these individuals look silly. And it's surprising how well it works. Gavin Newsom has gotten so much press around this and actually made people, I would argue, made people realize, like, when he posts something that's inappropriate or not becoming of a governor, like, oh, he's, just shit posting on Twitter all day. That's not appropriate for an elected official to do. Turning around and being like, that's the entire point. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because look in the mirror. And I think he's doing a really good job making people realize that. Before we loop back to the original video, again, on the Epstein files, it's pure chaos. I found this on Twitter, and I thought it was so funny. And we keep seeing so many examples of this. This is Kurt, for example. And if you want me to make a separate video, literally finding a ton of examples of Trump supporters just looking so silly on this issue, on the Epstein issue, saying, oh, vote for Trump to release the Epstein files, and now just completely flipping their opinion, I could literally make an entire compilation video of that. I think it'd be a good time. Let me know if you want to see that in the comments down below. And while you do, make sure you're subscribed. It goes such a long way. I appreciate you guys. This tweet right here, Kurt saying, I'll make you a deal so you can get back to explaining why you were supporting a senile, corrupt pervert for president. Let's release the entire Epstein client list and let the chips follow as they may. I think he meant to say chips fall as they may. This was tweeted in 2024 before the election. Obviously, we know now that Donald Trump, without a shadow of a doubt, was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and was spending significant time with Jeffrey Epstein while he was committing, these heinous acts. At a bare minimum, it is a 100% fact that Donald Trump knew what was going on and said nothing. It's becoming increasingly hard to defend or suggest that Donald Trump himself was not also engaging in these acts. I mean, Donald Trump himself is a pedophile. And based on the emails we got, yesterday from House Democrats, it's appearing that way. But we go to Kurt's Twitter now, just in the last, actually yesterday as I record this. He says, fire this guy in response to Thomas Massie wanting to release the Epstein files. Right, because it's all just a giant Democrat hoax. And what files? I mean, I don't even know what this is about. Can we focus on the American people or something? Like, why are we even talking about Epstein, this Epstein guy? I've never heard of him. What files? It's a hoax. I don't know anything about this. Let me loop back to this original video of Stephanie Miller on Fox. It is so, so, so good. Take a look.
I thought it was funny, but if it was anybody else, I probably wouldn't think it was as funny. So, well done.
Thank you for being the only one on the right that gets the joke. Sean, it was a joke. And then, you know, the funniest thing about this story is Trump's all over the Epstein files. And I wonder if they're going to release that after the big bombshell. I didn't see anything about that on Fox News today. Yeah. Okay. So let's release them. Let's release those files. Is this what passes for news? Is this what passes for news on Fox News?
Why did you kiss her feet?
That is so, so, so good. Her saying, yeah, that's hilarious. What I did is really funny. By the way, we should release the Epstein files. And of course, Sean Hannity's first comment out of his mouth is, I heard Bill Clinton's on the files. And so good, she doesn't buy it. She's like, okay, release them. Release them. No response. He's, that's not why I brought you on the show. They're going to keep getting hammered on this issue because it's bad. It's really bad. And clearly, I want to point out, it's so bad that the White House is having meetings in the Situation Room. Like, we're about to see this vote go to the House floor about releasing the Epstein files. And there's a lot of murmurs that not only do they have the votes, but it actually might be an avalanche of Republicans potentially voting yes and going against the Trump administration here. That's a pretty big breaking point, I would argue, politically for Trump, like we haven't seen before. Now, I don't want to get too excited here because, you know, after January 6th, it was, you know, Donald Trump was never going to assume political office ever again. He was a disgrace, all these things. After the Hollywood Access tape, no way Donald Trump can win the presidency now. So I don't want to get my hopes up, but again, so much pressure on a lot of these Republicans and their constituents to do the right thing, which I think is absolutely great. And again, as all this is happening, Donald Trump's response, this was last night as he's reopening the government at like 10 p.m. He's asked a question about the Epstein files and says this.
Mr. President, can you respond to these Epstein emails that were released today?
Well done, Mr. President. Great job.
Nothing. He says nothing. And the same thing happened today. They have just been avoiding these questions. We're actually seeing the White House after any given, event is over and people are yelling questions at the president. They're just ushering the press out. You actually hear somebody in the background there going, thank you guys, like, out of the Oval Office now, get out. And meanwhile, his, yes men and women who care more about, sucking up to Donald Trump, putting on the Trump knee pads, they care more about that than their constituents, than the Constitution. They have no principles. They've lost all principles and values. They're being asked tough questions, and it's not going well for them. Take a look.
You have been working a long time to get this information released. The White House yesterday held a meeting at the Situation Room with some of the highest officials in the country, with members of your own party, to try to get them to vote against the discharge petition, which you're against too, I want to say. But why do you think the White House is working so hard as you're working to get stuff released? Why is the White House working so hard to keep information from being released?
John, in fairness to the circumstance, I would say probably for the same reason that President Obama's administration, President Biden's administration did not release this data. The information that we get where it's factually based and comes from official law enforcement about the conclusions that they drew.
I think you get the idea. We don't want to hear this guy ramble on. Besides the fact, as the CNN host points out in a second, that obviously Joe Biden and Barack Obama, as far as we're aware, are not in these files. And Donald Trump is very clearly all over them. So that's number one. But number two, that's just not how government works. It's just not. And I could make an entire separate video about the actual answer to that question as to why Biden and Obama didn't release these files. It's absurd. It's all projection and it's absurd. Listen, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments down below. Shout out to Stephanie for going on Fox News. It was so great. I appreciate all the love and support lately. It means the world. Make sure you're subscribed down below, and I'll see you in the next video.